Guys, what do you think of Megyn Kelly? Do you like her? Yeah, I don't either. That's why I'm glad to see she's failing. And failing she is. Here's the latest item from Breitbart. NBC's Megyn Kelly could not even get 3 million total viewers this week, hitting another new low as her Sunday news magazine shows ratings continue to plummet because of NASCAR's rain-delayed and caution-filled Brickyard 400 race on Sunday. Kelly's show aired at 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., but she could not hold some of NASCAR's audience, as Sunday Night with Megyn Kelly got just 2.71 million total viewers, down from her previous low of 3.1 million total viewers last week, according to Nielsen data. Unquote. My friends, snarky, bitchy, fake conservative reporter who got a job because of her blonde hair, her pretty face, and her shapely bottom, let's be honest. As soon as she turned on Trump, she turned on the truth and on the American people. She can now start doing infomercials for fry pans and high-powered flashlights. Look, CNN tried to destroy Trump, and it has been largely destroyed. It's been revealed to be a fake. The Democrats tried and failed to topple Trump. Jeb Bush spent $140 million and got one delegate. The Clinton Foundation is in ruins. Illegal immigrants have stopped coming here to the tune of more than 70%. Trump is proving to be a force of nature. And all the midgets and the dwarves in the media who every day slander and insult him, trying to take him down, are doomed to failure, just like Megyn Kelly. What journalism needs on TV, and I say this as a 38-year veteran journalist, what journalism needs on TV is journalists. Not pretty faces. Not wannabe journalists. Not celebrity wannabes. You need real journalists committed to the principles of fair, honest, objective journalism. If you want to go on TV and juggle or keep plates spinning, be an entertainer, go. Do it. Good luck. But don't present yourself as a journalist and then try and be an entertainer and build up a cottage industry for yourself, because in this day and age, with the internet, guys like me on the radio, you're not going to fool anybody. We're going to reveal your hypocrisy always. You want to serve the American people, which is really what the media is about. Serve the American people by telling the truth. It's Monday. It's real truth. And I'll really be back. Go nowhere.
Your local DuPont Pioneer team doesn't take with you for the word go lightly, especially when it comes to foraging.
We're going to go there and work with those customers to try and find out what they need, what the true needs are, and meet and exceed those needs.
Meet Ron Grusho, Pioneer sales professional. He brings the Silage Zone resource to local dairy producers every day.
Whether it's night, Saturday, weekend, be the go-to guy. Take time to invest in their success, your success.
He brings more than just industry-leading products to the table.
You have the opportunity to come down that driveway and sit down there and visit. You're looking for that long-term relationship.
Want a team that's with you from the word go? That's Ron Grusho and your local DuPont Pioneer team. Ask them about leveraging the Silage Zone resource to produce the highest quality forages for your operation.
It's people working with people.
Pioneer, with you from the word go.
The American Freedom Network is not funded or supported by special interest groups or government programs. The American Freedom Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Freedom Network is solely funded by you, the listener. Please help keep the American Freedom Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsors' fine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation. The American Freedom Network needs your help.
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. This is Howard Riell. It's a brand new week. Lots of fun stuff going on. Let me begin. I'll tell you what, I haven't had Roger Stone on the show for a while. Here he is reacting to the Sean Spicer resignation, okay? Things are seldom as simple as they seem in Washington, D.C. Someone quits his job and is replaced. Well, there's more to it than that. Let's see what Roger Stone has to say. Roger, go.
Bannon-type patriots that we would see Scaramucci put in as communications director. Separately, we also know that there's been a full-on push to remove Scaramucci, but they failed. From my intel, which you're just obviously part of, but I've got it from other sources as well, this shows a major realignment's about to happen. Just like day 70, he kind of turned towards the establishment, trying to work with them because they lied to him and said they would. He wanted to compromise just to get stuff done. He's so worried about the economy stalling. As he said, they screwed him. 30 days later, he turned back towards populism hardcore with a serious jerk to the right in their view. And now I think this is going to signify he's going into full war mode with them, with the Mueller fishing expedition. He's not going to wait till they kill the economy and then try to bring him down. He's going to try to rally the people and absolutely go into full war mode, which is the only way to be victorious. Is that an accurate analysis, Roger Stone?
I think that's a pretty good assessment of the situation. First of all, the appointment of Anthony Scaramucci, who is a very capable guy, a true patriot, and a Trump loyalist. His loyalty is not to the Republican Party, it's to Trump and the Trump agenda. Has long been resisted by Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer, and the establishment mandarins within the Trump White House. I think this shift is really a manifestation of the extremely poor handling of the Donald Trump Jr. saga, which the White House allowed to drip drop out over almost a 10-day period, as opposed to releasing it all the Friday before our last holiday, which they were urged to do, and at least they rejected.
And again, any moron at a college-level journalism course knows you bury something on a Friday evening, you dump it all. So that was deliberate them. And now Spicer, proving his true colors, is in the New York Times saying how horrible Scaramucci is and that's why he left. So he is not just leaving, he's stabbing the president in the back, which reportedly he's been doing behind the scenes the entire time.
Extraordinarily disloyal. Of course, we have to remember he was never for Donald Trump for president anyway. This is the same Sean Spicer who said back in September of last year that if Trump didn't get his poll numbers up, the Republican National Committee should suspend its financial support of his candidacy. Unheard of. Just unheard of. Completely ignores the fact that the Republican National Committee exists as the pleasure of the nominee and certainly of the president. Just shows that they think that they are a fiefdom and an establishment organization unto themselves.
Does this signify, though, that with Mueller's biggest fishing expedition in history, 98% plus, it's like 98.6% of the donations to the law firm of Mueller to the Democrats, to Hillary, to Bill, expanding it to all his associates, the whole campaign, all financials. No one's perfect according to federal law. They can indict a ham sandwich, as the FBI director famously said. How far is this going to go? To me, this signifies Trump's battening down the hatches, which is good. And it also signifies that Spicer's evacuating because he thinks that he's siding with the deep state.
I think you have to read between the lines on the president's terrific interview with the New York Times conducted by Maggie Haberman, where he correctly, I think, expressed a lack of confidence in Jeff Sessions. I mean, we have now a FISA court decision proving that the Obama administration illegally surveilled, spied on, and charted the phone calls and other communications of tens of thousands of Americans that illegally unmasked them, all for political purposes. Yet Obama has not been arrested. Susan Rice has not been arrested. James Clapper has not been arrested.
And you've got Hillary with all the illegal servers, all the uranium, all the Chinese, Russian deals, and they're completely dirty, caught red-handed, and they point at Trump, who's done nothing wrong but tried to find dirt on Hillary and say, remove him. You're right, he's got to move against him. Here is the president, surreptitiously, again, I guess recorded by the New York Times, but here it is.
Sessions gets the job.
right after he gets the job, he recuses himself. Was that a mistake? Well, Sessions should have never recused himself. And if he was going to recuse himself, he should have told me before he took the job, and I would have picked somebody else.
He gave you no heads up at all in any sense.
Zero. So Jeff Sessions takes the job, gets into the job, recuses himself. I then have, which frankly, I think is very unfair to the president. How do you take a job and then recuse yourself? If he would have recused himself before the job, I would have said, thanks, Jeff, but I can't, I'm not going to take you. It's extremely unfair, and that's a mild word, to the president. So he recuses himself.
Now, let's be specific. This is one of the most important things I've ever said, so please listen carefully, listeners. This country's gotten run into a ditch by people covering their butts, CYA. We're going into entropy. We're going into collapse. And I like Sessions. He's been an honorable man. He killed open borders and globalism 4 times in the Senate when they were trying to pass bills secretly. I like Sessions, but judges don't recuse themselves unless they've got a conflict. He doesn't have a conflict. He never did anything. He got bullied and intimidated in CYA. And if the Republican Party keeps doing their old CYA, the Democrats are going to overthrow the entire system and bring in martial law, as is in the New York Post and the Atlantic Monthly. They admit they know they've lost the mind of the people. They admit they've committed all these crimes. They're going for broke. They're cornered rats. You can give them no quarter.
My friends, let me ask you a question, because we got about a minute before the break. If I hire you to do a job, are you going to make a major, unprecedented, groundbreaking decision without consulting me, your boss, who's paying you? No, you're going to check with your boss first. Before Sessions ever recused himself, first of all, it was a brainless thing to do. But before he went and did it, he should have gone to President Trump and said, listen, I'm planning on recusing myself. Do you have a problem with it? And Trump would have said, yes, don't do it. And if he's a good employee, he doesn't do it. He didn't consult with Trump, and he made a boneheaded decision. So, yeah, I accept that Jeff Sessions is an honest guy, and I give him credit for that. But you got to be more than just honest. You got to be able to think your way out of a paper bag, too. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom he said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
For I testify to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to these things, God will add to him the plagues that is written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part from the book of life and from the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. Revelation 22, 18, and 19.
American Window Tinting Incorporated in Fragtown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little one at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228.
Our right, my friends, welcome back. Howard Riell, Real Truth, but you know that already. Less than an hour ago, the president was speaking about repealing, replacing Obamacare, about the Senate bill, all that good stuff, and I've got it for you right here. Let's go. Mr. President, start talking.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Vice President Pence,
Oh.
Secretary Price, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. For the past 17 years, Obamacare has wreaked havoc on the lives of innocent, hardworking Americans. Behind me today, we have real American families, great families. Just spent a lot of time with them. Who are suffering because 7 years ago, a small group of politicians and special interests in Washington engineered a government takeover of health care. Every pledge that Washington Democrats made to pass that bill turned out to be a lie. It was a big, fat, ugly lie. Democrats promised Americans like Steve Finn, a former police officer in West Virginia, that they would save $2,500 a year under Obamacare. Instead, his premiums have more than tripled. That's pretty bad. As a result of Obamacare's skyrocketing costs, Steve and his family and many of his employees had no other option than going on Medicaid and giving up their existing coverage. No choice, right? No choice. For them, Obamacare's promise was a nightmare. Marjorie and Kevin Weir from South Carolina have a son, Monty, who suffers from spina bifida. Washington Democrats promised families like the Weirs that if they liked their doctor, they could keep their doctor. But now there's only one insurer left in the state exchange. And Marjorie says that every year she waits anxiously to learn if the doctors and hospitals, which her son needs the most, will remain in their network. More Obamacare lies. And you've seen that up front, unfortunately, up front and personal. The Democrats promised Melissa Atkinson that her son's pre-existing conditions would be covered. The Atkinsons quickly learned that Obamacare's promise of covering for pre-existing conditions was meaningless, though if the doctors you need to care for you aren't on your Obamacare plan. So you just have a meaningless promise. And everybody knows it, and most people on Obamacare know it. After an excruciating series of events and complications, Melissa and her husband found themselves just before Christmas, emotionally and financially devastated, crying in a doctor's office faced with yet another seemingly unpayable bill. When insurance wouldn't cover the Atkinsons' care, they emptied out Melissa's 401k to pay their bills. They're not going to be, and they haven't been the first. There are many, many cases such as that, the 401ks. The first rule of medicine is do no harm. But Obamacare's lies have caused this, and throughout the whole country, families like this, nothing but pain. Aaron and Andy Whitson are small business owners from Illinois. They have 6 children. Their youngest daughter, Poppy, has a rare genetic condition. Children born with it are sometimes called butterfly children because their skin is as fragile as the wings of a butterfly. Poppy has to wear special bandages all of the time. Unfortunately, under Obamacare, Poppy's insurance has been repeatedly discontinued and replaced with what Washington deems equivalent policies. But for Poppy, these plans are not equivalent, and Poppy's family has to spend precious time and tremendous resources fighting for exceptions for Poppy. Washington politicians who made those promises to Steve, Marjorie, Melissa, Aaron, and their beautiful children want to ignore all the pain, all the suffering, and all of the money, the tremendous amounts of money that these lies have caused. They want to forget about the countless Americans they've hurt and the many that they are continuing to hurt every day by refusing to help us replace Obamacare. For the last 7 years, Republicans have been united in standing up for Obamacare's victims. Remember, repeal and replace, repeal and replace. They kept saying it over and over again. Every Republican running for office promised immediate relief from this disastrous law. We as a party must fulfill that solemn promise to the voters of this country to repeal and replace what they've been saying for the last 7 years. But so far, Senate Republicans have not done their job in ending the Obamacare nightmare. They now have a chance, however, to hopefully fix what has been so badly broken for such a long time, and that is through replacement of a horrible disaster known as Obamacare. The Senate is very close to the votes it needs to pass a replacement. The problem is we have zero help from the Democrats. They're obstructionists. That's all they are. That's all they're good at is obstruction, making things not work. They say all the right things, and then they do exactly what they're not supposed to be doing. The Democrats aren't giving us one vote, so we need virtually every single vote from the Republicans. Not easy to do.
And my friends, let me cut into the president here because this is so important for the state of Colorado to hear. I carry with me the shame of knowing that the state in which my radio station is located, KHNC 1360 AM The Lion, the state of Colorado had a majority of voters so stupid, so brain dead, so gullible, so innocent, so naive, that they voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, I'm confident that my regular listeners do not see voting for Hillary Clinton as a possibility and that they didn't. But there's a chance that, I'm reaching millions and millions of people. Some of you guys may not be regular listeners. You may be flipping around the radio. You stumbled upon my voice. You fell in love with it, and you're listening. You hear what I have to say. Okay, hear what I have to say. If you voted for Hillary, you're a jackass. Not only was she the most corrupt presidential candidate in this nation's history, she's been an inept fool who's never done anything in any job she's been given, and she's only been given those jobs because she was Bill Clinton's wife. Now the Democrats, just as the president said, won't lift a finger to make life easier for Americans. Knowing that, if you were to go ahead and vote Democrat again, not just for president, for anything, well, that would make you part of the problem. That would make you a cancer cell in the body politic of this country. The Democrats hate America. They hate the very idea of America. And so to help them carry out their slow motion destruction of America, by the way, sometimes it's not so slow, your conscience has got to kick you in the butt at some point. The Democrats want to watch America burn. That's why they're not helping Trump and the Republicans fix anything. They've got to carry the entire burden on their own shoulders, and given the fact that so many Republicans are also hack politicians, it falls to Trump and his inner circle to fix all the maladies afflicting this nation. Now, my friends, maybe you don't have the time and the resources to be part of the solution. Maybe all you can do is vote. Okay. Make your vote count. Get on the telephone, call your legislators. But he's talking about the Democrats not lifting a finger to fix this disastrous cancer called Obamacare. So if you, knowing that, still plan on voting Democrat, then do me a favor, turn off my show now because I just plain don't want you in my audience. Let's go back to the president.
The Senate bill that is being considered outside of the outright repeal of Obamacare will also provide emergency relief for the law's victims, and it will deliver truly great health care and health care reforms that our citizens want, need, and really should be demanding. Some are demanding. You'll see that at the voter booth, believe me. Here are just some of these terrific reforms that we will be doing if everything works out the way it should. The Senate bill eliminates the painful individual mandate. It eliminates the job-killing employer mandate, repeals other burdensome taxes, and will significantly lower Americans' premiums. It will stabilize collapsing health insurance markets and give Americans far more choice and far more flexibility. The Senate bill protects coverage for pre-existing conditions, and you don't hear this from the Democrats. They like to tell you just the opposite, and they didn't even know the bill. They run out, they say death, death, death. Well, Obamacare is death. That's the one that's death. And besides that, it's failing, so you won't have it anyway. It dramatically expands popular health savings accounts. It provides tax credits so Americans can purchase a private plan that is right for them and their families. It devotes substantial resources to fight the opioid, and this is a tremendous problem, the opioid epidemic. $45 billion is being put in so that the people of many states like New Hampshire, Ohio, and so many others that have such a big problem can be helped and helped greatly. We're going to be fighting the drug problems very, very seriously in my administration. And it provides, among many other things, higher quality care and more flexibility for states to administer Medicaid to better serve their poorest citizens. Tomorrow, the Senate will vote on whether to allow this urgently needed bill to come to the Senate floor for debate. The question for every senator, Democrat or Republican, is whether they will side with Obamacare's architects, which have been so destructive to our country, or with its forgotten victims. Any senator who votes against starting debate is telling America that you are fine with the Obamacare nightmare, which is what it is. For Democrats, this vote is a chance to make up for the terrible harm they have inflicted on Americans like those who are with us today. Obamacare has been for them a nightmare.
My friends, for Democrats, the smart thing to do is to get on board and help repair the damage done by Obamacare. That'll be the smart thing to do, which is why I am supremely confident that they won't do it. Democrats don't do smart things. Democrats lock arms. Effectively sitting in the middle of the street and blocking traffic. That's what they do. That's all they can do. And you'll see. Watch the vote tomorrow. Democrats will sit with their arms crossed. They will not get up and be proactive in trying to repeal and replace Obamacare because they don't care about you. Now, you may care about the Democrat Party, which means you're pretty much of a schmuck, because the party doesn't care about you. The party cares about the party. The Democrats typify the very worst of Orwellian government. If you can't see that, okay, then do everyone a favor and at least stop voting. I've issued this invitation before. You know this is a call-in show, right? I'll give you my call-in number. If you vote Democrat and you're proud of it, and you think other people should vote Democrat, call me up and tell me why. 877-254-7524. If you voted for Hillary, call me up and tell me why. Now, you may have to wait for my laughter to succeed. But if you want to defend the Democrat position, call me up and tell me. And until you do, I will continue to speak the truth, which is that the Democrats are poison for America. And you watch the vote tomorrow. Democrats will not get to work fixing health care. They just won't. You wait and see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. In the meantime, Trump is taking on the entire political establishment in trying to fix it for you and for me. And that's the truth. We'll be back. More Real Truth to come.
The American American Freedom Network is not funded or supported by special interest groups or government programs. The American Freedom Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Freedom Network is solely funded by you, the listener. Please help keep the American Freedom Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsors' fine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation. The American Freedom Network needs your help. Now, this is the testimony of John. The Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter Lafayette remind you, no one anywhere is more noble, righteous, selfless, or courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families foot the bill for our freedom every day. Send a military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care. Elizabeth Locker Plan and Elizabeth reminds us that the drug problem is what's up. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Locker Plant, located at 366 Grass Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized H&B and fourth and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240. 125 or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. And women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now they just one nutritional supplement instead of the Bio Superfood formula are whole food products composed with four of the most nutrient dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain. Help with focus, memory, and food. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity and is safe for you and your family. And order your Bio Superfood formula at BioAge.com. Spell BioAge.com. BioAge.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge. The age of the store again.
My friends, the fat cat elitist do-nothing congressmen and senators in the Republican Party are squandering a golden opportunity to restore America to greatness, just as Donald Trump has said. Here's a colleague of mine named Rush Limbaugh who believes the same thing. Rush, take it away.
Do you realize we're living at a time in our lives, you and me, politically, we're living in circumstances I don't think very many of us ever thought we would have. Do you realize that aside from the embeds and the career people that have been appointed to the various levels of bureaucracy by previous presidents going all the way back to Jimmy Carter, aside from that, the Republican Party on paper runs Washington, D.C. The Democrat Party on paper has not had this low a power profile since the 1920s. And I'm referring to elected positions held. Now, don't forget the caveat. I know there's all kinds of Obama holdovers and Clinton holdovers, the Pentagon, the DOJ, and I know that matters. I know that counts. But they still do not have the power that the Republicans have. And it is one of the most perplexing and frustrating and angering things. A circumstance, I don't know how many of you ever really thought the Republicans would win the White House, control the Senate and the House at the same time with such majorities, 2 seats in the Senate, but even Trump's electoral victory. And yet, despite that, what outward evidence of it do we see? I would submit that most of you think that the media, and therefore the Democrats, still run Washington, even though the media hasn't been elected to anything. The media does not hold elective power. The Republicans do. It is one of the most exasperating things. 6 months into a Republican administration, after how many years of promises to, say, repeal Obamacare, and we're not an inch closer to it, in reality, than we were before last year's election. It's not going to get any better than this. The only way it can get better is if this Republican majority were populated by more conservatives and different ideological types. But that's not going to happen in our lifetimes. It doesn't look like. This is it. It's not going to get any better than this. And I cannot believe that this opportunity is not seen by these very Republicans we're talking about in Washington, in the House, in the Senate, throughout the administration. No, my head's not in the sand. I understand they all hate Trump, or enough of them do. I understand all that. That's actually, folks, it's one of my points here. It's an opportunity being squandered, and I know it has you frustrated. And what Trump is talking about here, why aren't these Republican committees, why aren't these Republican investigators, why isn't my Attorney General looking into Hillary Clinton's crimes? If you're going to investigate what all went on with Russia, how in the world do you leave the Democrats out of it? How do you leave Hillary Clinton out of it? The Republicans run the show. It's time for the Republicans to start acting like it. Politics is what it is. The Republicans don't appear to want to play the game. I know the old saw, they didn't think they were going to win, therefore they weren't prepared. So what? They did win. It ought to be euphoric. It ought to be exciting. Apparently it isn't. Apparently it's frustrating and challenging and all kinds of things you would never associate with victory. Victory shouldn't be a problem. Victory shouldn't be a negative. We're in a huge battle in this country, and it isn't populists and nationalists versus conservatives, or conservatives versus moderates, or moderates versus progressives. We are in a battle for the future of the country. You could call it patriots versus progressives. You could call it Americanism versus liberalism. You could call it what it is. Whatever you want to call it, it is what it is. It is us against the progressives who are attempting to change and transform this country away from what it was founded to be. And there just doesn't seem to be any pushback, especially with all of this power. And do not doubt me, they have loads of power, and they're not using it. And we can come up with all the guesses, and we'd be right 8 out of 10 times about why they're not investigating Hillary, why they are not investigating the Democrats' connection with the Russians. By the way, there's new news out today that the FBI did get hold of some computer equipment from Debbie Blabbermouth Schutz's IT guy that they would not turn over to the FBI. I mean, there's a potential gold mine there to be investigated. Hillary and the Democrats and the Democrat National Committee, and they're just...
My friends, hang on a second. They wouldn't turn it over to the FBI? When the FBI tells you to turn over possible evidence, don't you kind of have to? And if you don't you kind of get arrested? Oh, I'm sorry, that's just for regular people. Okay, go ahead, Rush.
Doesn't seem that we know of anyway, any energy to uncover it. All the energy seems to be focused on getting Trump and getting rid of Trump, which I, of course, am not denying that they want to do that. We've chronicled it here. But an opportunity is being squandered, the likes of which
we never thought we were going to get. We hoped for it, and it probably is not something we could reasonably expect to happen again. And if it does, it's only because the Democrats are so hapless. Even in the midst of all of this, the Democrats still cannot come up with an oriented agenda, issue-oriented agenda to appeal to voters. All they've got is their phrasal. Well, we're not those guys, or Trump sucks, or whatever it is they're running around saying. They can't come up with one thing to give people a reason to vote for them. That's how decrepit their agenda actually is. Just adds to the frustration that the opportunity we all see in front of us being squandered presents.
That's exactly right. It is being squandered. Now, why is it that the Democrats aren't able to put together a plan? They got smart people on that side. They can say we want to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Why don't they? Because they know Americans are now tuned into the internet. We get real truth now. Americans know that the A, B, C, D, E, F, G that they want to do all doesn't work. It's been tried before, and it's only resulted in failure. And so they're trying to think of something they can say that people will like, but there's nothing in their philosophy that people will like. It's like they're coming to the American people selling bread. And they say, that store over there is selling bread for $1 a loaf. We've got it for $1.75. They know no one's going to buy. And that's why they haven't come across with anything substantive, nor will they. All right, we'll take another break, and we'll be back once again. More Real Truth.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, verse 16.
Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo. Thank them for doing a perfect job. Shop and realize their job is dangerous. Sometimes things. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. Focus the uniform people in Greeley.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seen.
My friends, over the weekend, everybody was talking about Sean Spicer. Here is Sean Spicer with Sean Hannity. Go.
And, I'm leaving it in capable hands with both Anthony and Sarah Sanders, who has been just a tremendous partner and will continue to do the president in this country a great job.
Walk us through what happened. And from what I understand, and all the reports are, the president did not want you to go. Tell us what happened.
He didn't. He's been very gracious throughout this process. He wanted to bring some new folks in to help rev up the communications operation. And after reflection, my decision was to recommend to the president that I give Anthony and Sarah a clean slate to start from, so that they can talk about the president's agenda and help move it forward. And he, after some back and forth, understood that the offer that I was making was something that was in the best interest of this administration. I thanked him for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to watching Anthony and Sarah do a tremendous job.
All right, walk us through that to the extent that you can share the conversation. You went in and you said you want to give them a clean slate. You know, give us a little of the back and forth between you and the president today in the Oval Office.
Well, Sean, I will say this. I've never revealed private conversations that have been privy to the president. I will say, as I mentioned,
you're on your way out. You might as well.
You're right. You know what? You're right. I'm on my way out. Why not? But as I said, I went into the president after we had the discussion earlier with Anthony and Sarah about what the president's desires were. And I said, sir, I've had the opportunity to think about this. I think it is in the best interest of this administration and in your presidency that I give these two individuals the opportunity to operate without me in the way, so that they have a fresh start, that I'm not lurking over them. And I think that's in the best interest of the organization, of this administration, and of his presidency. And so, there was a bit of a back and forth. He's an unbelievably gracious individual, and wanted to make sure that I thought that was in the best interest of myself as well. He's always thinking of others, and I assured him that I would be just fine. He assured me that he would continue to be as supportive as he always has been, and I told him I would stay on for a few weeks to ensure a smooth transition. He accepted that, and then we kept working hard to advance his agenda.
Did you feel in any way that your role had been diminished? I mean, you started sharing the podium with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Anthony Scaramucci comes in. Did you feel in any way that this was against you? Did you feel you were pushed out in any way, or this was just totally your decision?
But as you mentioned, the president obviously wanted to add to the team more than anything. I just think it was in the best interest of our communications department, of our press organization, to not have too many cooks in the kitchen. And so I think that's a good quality. They need the team here that works so hard, so tirelessly to advance the president's agenda, needs clear leadership, and I thought it would be a bit confusing having additional people at the top. And so I wanted to move on to give both Anthony and Sarah that clear lane in each of their respective areas. But look, we've been working tirelessly, trying to advance this agenda. There's a lot of people here doing a lot of amazing work on the digital side, on our research side, on our press operation regionally. We had a very successful Made in America week this week, garnering over millions of impressions throughout the country of the amazing things that products that are come from around the country, and that the president's working hard to keep and grow the manufacturing base and the job base around this country. So there's so much to be done, and we've got two additionally talented people that will continue to lead this effort forward.
Let me ask you about, from your perspective, being on that podium. And I've known Tony Snow, Ari Fleischer, our own Dana Perino. From your perspective, being up there, the state of the media, we have this fake news, we've had phony stories, they get advanced, they blow up, Russia obsession. What is your assessment now, 6 months and a day, deciding to step down, of the media?
I think most people aren't really privy to how stories are developed and what stories are make it to the front page or to the mainstream media, whether it's in print or in broadcast. And I think they'd be shocked and disappointed to see some of the bias that exists in some of the stories that don't get told, or the manner in which they are told. I was increasingly disappointed in how so many of the members here of the media do their job, or rather don't do their job, the bias to which they come from it at. And as I mentioned a while ago, I think that there's become a very clickbait mentality among a lot of reporters, where they're more interested in their clip or their click than they are about the truth and the facts.
You know, and this is very interesting to me, because I've watched and witnessed some of these exchanges, and I know there's been an effort, for example, to maybe change a little bit of the rules inside the White House briefing room. And one of them was, you know what, maybe we're not going to do everything on camera. Maybe the person at home, the average person at home, doesn't quite understand that when those guys get their moment, their idea is to get into as contentious a battle with you as they can. And is it 9 out of 10 times that's what airs that night? That they're not really looking for news, they're looking for their moment? Is that a fair assessment, or am I being unfair to the media?
No, I think that's a very fair assessment. Now, I don't want to paint everybody with the same broad brush, but I do think that you're very accurate in terms of the majority of folks that are now in this in the briefing room that are going into journalism. They're not there for the facts or the pursuit of the truth. They're there trying to figure out, how do I get on TV? How do I become a YouTube star? And that's disappointing. But there are some good reporters that still spend time getting to know, to learn the facts, to get the story out, and they should be rewarded and praised for their journalism. It's not about what's the percentage, easy or hard or right. It's about being right and trying to get the facts and get the story right and inform the readership or the viewership. And there are some reporters that do that. But by and large, we're seeing more and more where it's about the clip or the click.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that these were extraordinarily difficult times because the media has been so obsessed with Russia. Now, I'm a talk show host. I have opinions. I'm not a traditional journalist. I'd be called an advocacy journalist. But when I look at issues like Ukraine and the influence that they tried to have on the election, as long as it's on helping the Democrats, that doesn't seem to get that much play. Or the Uranium One deal, which I would argue is a real Russia-Vladimir Putin scandal. They didn't seem to care too much about that in the media.
All right, guys, here's what we're going to do, because I'm going to put this, going to a break, I'm going to put this up on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio. You'll go there and you'll watch it in its entirety. Item from the Economic Collapse blog. I know politicians aren't supposed to talk like this, but I don't care, says Michael Snyder, the author. I'm not a politician. I never will be. And I am not running for Congress because I want a career in politics. We have enough career politicians right now, and so we definitely don't need another one. So I'm not going to carefully craft a message I think the voters will want to hear. Instead, I'm just going to tell the truth. And I believe people all over America are going to stand with me. And the truth is that if America does not turn back to God, there isn't going to be an America. We'll be back.
Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit, whether they are thought, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10. If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Paris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Paris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Paris Survival. The American Freedom Network is not funded or supported by special interest groups or government programs. The American Freedom Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Freedom Network is solely funded by you, the listeners. Please help keep the American Freedom Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsors' fine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation. The American Freedom Network needs your help.
Item from the LA Times. Police in San Antonio found 8 people dead and 20 severely injured inside a tractor trailer in a Walmart parking lot early Sunday morning in an incident local officials described as horrific human trafficking tragedy, unquote. My friends, I have to believe that this tragedy could have been avoided if the people trying to sneak into this country had simply stayed home and respected America's laws. Now they're dead. Item from Grabien.com. Even as gas prices have fallen to the lowest point in years under President Trump, Senate Minority Leader is claiming the price of petrol has only gone up. The nationwide price for gas closed the week July 17th at $2.39 a gallon, down from $2.47 a gallon when Trump took office. Over the July 4th holiday weekend, gas prices were at the lowest point since 2005, according to AAA, unquote. My friends, reality never got in the way of the Democrats. They go out and say the gas prices are up. And Democrat voters are usually, not always, but usually stupid enough to simply believe it. Item from TheGuardian.com. Israeli officials have said they will not remove metal detectors from outside the Jerusalem mosque, despite their installation triggering rapidly escalating confrontations with Palestinians. Unquote. My friends, I would advise Israel to remove the metal detectors and remove the Palestinians. Item from the Washington Examiner. In a broadside on sanctuary cities that harbor criminal illegal immigrants, the acting head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement called them un-American and cited the worst: Chicago, New York City, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. Sanctuary cities, in my opinion, are un-American, said Thomas D. Homan in an interview with Secrets. By harboring criminal illegal immigrants, the jurisdictions are boosting crime, he said. In the last year, I've read all these stories of how the crime rate has exploded in Chicago and the president's trying to help them. We're stepping up our game in Chicago. Is Chicago doing everything that it can to decrease the criminal activity up there? I say no, said Homan. Item from the Associated Press. She's a transgender woman and an experienced journalist who sings in the metal band in her spare time. He has sponsored some of the most socially conservative legislation in Virginia in the past 25 years, including a measure this year that would have restricted the bathrooms transgender people can use. Democrat Danica Roem is challenging Republican Bob Marshall for his Northern Virginia seat in the State House of Delegates. With such stark differences between the candidates, the race is expected to draw in big money and is being seen by some as a referendum on rights for gay and transgender people. Roem would be the first openly transgender candidate to win and serve in the state legislature, according to Victory Fund, a political action committee that supports her and calls Marshall the most anti-LGBTQ member of the Virginia state legislature. Unquote. My friends, I want you to know before we go off the air that I am pro-LGBTQ getting therapy, getting the psychological and emotional counseling they need, because they are sick and emotionally injured people who deserve not scorn, not hatred, but compassion and pity. And the enablers who pat them on the back and say, "You go, girl," or guy, whichever one they are today, they're not helping them. You help a sick person by getting him to be healthy. You don't make them feel better about being sick. And that's the show. I'll be back tomorrow, my friends. More real truth you can count on. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay angry. Hasta luego.